Hello and a warm welcome to the program. I'm Akaite Afia. We begin today in the United States, where the number of people listed as missing after the collapse of a 12-story building in the U.S. city of Miami has risen to 159. 4 people are known to have died. The mayor of Miami-Dade County says they still have hope of finding survivors. Search teams working around the clock have reported hearing people banging beneath the debris.
As rescue crews search through the rubble of a 12-story apartment block in Miami, friends and family of its residents anxiously wait to hear news of their loved ones.
I don't even know if family and friends are okay at the moment right now that we're on the ocean side of the ocean view of this building. And as you can see, literally the entire half of the building is completely demolished and on the floor in pieces and everything, and I have no words to explain really what's going on through my mind.
Overnight, hundreds of rescuers used sonar cameras as they scoured the rubble for survivors. At least 120 people have now been accounted for, but it's uncertain how many were in the building when it came down. Dozens of people, including a young boy, have been evacuated from what's left of the structure. At least 4 people have been confirmed dead and over 150 missing. Officials say the building remains unstable, which makes rescue efforts more difficult.
Unfortunately, this has been a tragic night. We do have 120 people now accounted for, which is very, very good news. But our unaccounted for number has gone up to 159. In addition, we can tragically report the death count is now 4. I want to be very clear about the numbers. They're very fluid. We'll continue to update you as we have them, but we have confirmed 4 deaths.
We have hope, and every time that we hear a sound, we concentrate in that area. So we send additional teams, utilizing the devices, utilizing K9, and utilizing personnel. So as we continue to hear those sounds, we concentrate in those areas.
What caused the 40-year-old high-rise to collapse remains unclear, though local officials said the tower was undergoing recertification repairs. President Joe Biden has approved an emergency declaration for Florida, meaning the Federal Emergency Management Agency will help state agencies with the relief effort.
VOA reporter Alonzo Castillo is in Miami, from where he joins us now. Alonzo, what a long night it must have been for families and friends of the victims. Can you give us an update on the rescue operation?
It's been a very long night full of anxiety and fear. As you can imagine, people are waiting to hear from their loved ones. The number of people that have not been accounted for is over 159. As you were saying, 4 people are confirmed dead. So it's definitely a very long night. Rescue teams, firefighters, everyone working around the clock to try to get some people, if there's any inside of the rubble, and they're still looking. And it's been nonstop since the building collapsed.
Well, it's still unclear the cause of the collapse for the building, but officials say the high-rise built in 1981 required repairs as a part of city recertification process. So just tell us a little bit more about that.
Yeah, the recertification process is a mandate where buildings every 40 years, they need to check from electrical issues to structural, and they were in the middle of this process. We do know that they were doing some repairs on the roof, although this is unclear if this is a reason why the building collapsed. We did speak to a professor of the International University of Florida, and he said that in order to determine the cause, it's going to take some time, forensics and specialists to really try to determine what happened with the building.
Well, about 120 people have now been accounted for. They all must be surely in a state of shock, but there's also the sad reality that many have been left homeless by this. How are officials assisting victims of this unfortunate collapse?
Yes, today the mayor of Miami-Dade County said that there is our unification center where they are giving from food to shelter to cash for basic assistance. There's also being 2 sites that are receiving cash donations. And now with the emergency order that was signed by President Joe Biden, all the resources will be allocated also to help the victims with this unfathomable tragedy.
Well, you did mention President Biden there, and he has approved a state of emergency in Florida, which will provide more help with relief efforts. So are we expecting him to visit the area soon?
What we know so far is that President Biden has been in contact since this happened with the mayor. He has been with all, talking to her, and I'm not really sure if President Biden is set to visit Miami in the next couple of days, but we do know that there's an ongoing conversation with the authorities, and being the magnitude, I'm pretty confident that President Biden will continue to show his support for the community that is reeling with this disaster.
Right. Well, Alonzo, thank you so much for joining us on the program today, and do stay safe out there.
Thank you. Likewise. Good afternoon.
Away from the United States, a tornado has swept through several villages in the Czech Republic, killing 5 people and leaving more than 150 others injured. Thursday night storm blew the roofs off the buildings in the southeastern Břeclav and Hodonín districts, uprooting trees and overturning cars. Winds of at least 219 kilometers per hour were recorded, and the worst hit areas were said to look like a war zone. Hailstones the size of tennis balls were also reported. Thousands of Palestinians have gathered in the occupied West Bank city of Hebron to attend the funeral of Nizar Banat, an outspoken critic of the Palestinian Authority who died in the custody of PA forces on Thursday. Mourners traveled from across the occupied West Bank to attend Banat's funeral prayers at Wasaya al-Rasul Mosque in Hebron and marched through the streets along with his family and friends before he was buried. Protesters chanted, calling for the downfall of the regime and accusing the PA of being hand-in-hand with Israel. The chants also included calls for PA President Mahmoud Abbas to resign. Israelis must again wear masks indoors, just 10 days after being allowed to ditch them, amid a sustained surge in coronavirus infections attributed to the highly contagious Delta variant. The mask requirement had been one of a few social curbs remaining as Israel's rapid vaccination drive kept cases down. Here's more on this and other developments on our COVID-19 Global Update.
Israel has reinstated a requirement to wear face masks indoors in an attempt to stem the recent rises in the cases of COVID-19 just days after it lifted the measure. Concerns have grown after the country recorded more than 100 new daily cases, most of which have been linked to the Delta variant from abroad. Iranian Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei has received his first dose of a homegrown COVID-19 vaccine today, amid efforts by the country to speed up its vaccination rollout. Iran has recorded 83,588 coronavirus deaths, the highest in the Middle East. Russia has reported a record number of COVID-19 deaths amid a surge in infections. Authorities are saying the Delta variant and slow progress of a vaccination program are to blame. The government's coronavirus task force reported 601 coronavirus-linked deaths in the past 24 hours, with 98 in the capital, pushing the national death toll to 132,064. French Health Minister Olivier Véran and EU Health Commissioner Stella Kyriakides are calling on French citizens and EU member states to keep vaccination campaigns going strong, despite the improving health situation on the continent.
So what we want, and the message that I am sending to all member states, is for citizens to be vaccinated, to be fully vaccinated as soon as possible, so we can have this level of protection that we need against any potential variants.
Varane insisted French people should get their first and second doses, even though the summer holidays are imminent. And finally, Japan continues struggling to administer COVID-19 vaccines safely and efficiently as another batch of just over 3,000 vaccine doses have been thrown away due to improper storage. The discarded Pfizer jabs were meant to be kept at a low temperature but were thawed and refrozen while en route to the destination. Niigata's health authorities have since apologized for the mistakes.
A Belarusian dissident who was taken off a Ryanair jet forced to land in Minsk has been transferred to house arrest. Authorities have confirmed Roman Protasevich was taken into custody on suspicion of inciting unrest after his dramatic capture on May the 23rd. His girlfriend, Russian citizen Sofia Sapega, was arrested with him and has also been moved to house arrest. The EU responded to the plane incident with sanctions on Belarus. U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken says the lack of an interim agreement between the UN nuclear watchdog and Iran on the monitoring of atomic activities is a serious concern that has been communicated to Tehran. Struck on February 21st, the interim monitoring deal was valid for 3 months, then extended by a month on May 24th. The International Atomic Energy Agency said it expired on Thursday and is in talks with Iran on another extension.
We still have serious differences with Iran with regard to returning to mutual compliance with the JCPOA. Our teams are going back for a 7th round of indirect negotiations in the coming days. We'll see if we can bridge the differences, but they're real, and we have to be able to bridge them. I would tell you that with regard to the IAEA, this remains a serious concern, a concern that we've communicated to Iran, and it needs to be resolved. If Iran continues to spin ever more sophisticated centrifuges at higher degrees, if it pursues other aspects of its program that were prohibited by the JCPOA, there will come a point, yes, where it will be very hard to return back to the standards set by the JCPOA.
Activists and Western diplomats say the UN human rights chief should document her own findings on the plight of Uyghurs in Xinjiang, even without China's blessing for a visit. Michelle Bachelet, UN High Commissioner for Human Rights, said on Monday, June 21st, that she hoped to agree on terms for a long-sought visit to China this year to look into allegations of mass detention, torture, and forced labor. Canada led a record 45 countries, urging China on Tuesday to allow Bachelet immediate access to Xinjiang for a first-hand assessment. Beijing denies all allegations of abuse of Uyghurs and other Turkic Muslims, describing its camps as vocational training facilities to combat religious extremism. New Zealand says it plans to strengthen its hate speech laws and increase penalties for inciting hatred and discrimination in response to the attack by a white supremacist in Christchurch 2 years ago that killed 51 Muslims. The move comes after a royal commission of inquiry into the Christchurch attack on March 15, 2019, recommended changes to hate speech and hate crime laws, which it said were weak deterrents for people targeting religious and other minority groups with hate.
The changes to the Human Rights Act and the Crimes Act, which we are proposing, are not about restricting anyone's ability to engage in debate about issues. While saying nasty things to someone or about someone does not make for a healthy and constructive relationship, it is not the type of speech that we are targeting. What we are looking at is when people are speaking or commenting about a group because of their ethnicity, their religious beliefs, their sexuality, or other characteristics like their gender status. And what they are saying is intended to incite, stir up, maintain and normalise hatred against that group. But that has no place in New Zealand, and we will strengthen the laws to reflect that. Increasing the penalty from 3 months to 3 years and 7,000 to 50,000 shows that the seriousness of the crime, the government is taking that offence much more seriously, and it is, and as I say, it is a much increased penalty than what is in place at the moment. Freedom of speech is protected, but that is not absolute. And I do believe that the freedom of expression rights in the Bill of Rights Act are still continue to be protected in these proposals.
Health Secretary Matt Hancock has admitted breaking social distancing guidance after pictures of him kissing an aide were published in a newspaper. He said he had let people down after photos emerged of him with Gina Coladangelo, whom he appointed, and he was very sorry. Labour urged the PM to sack Mr. Hancock, calling his position untenable. But Downing Street says Boris Johnson has accepted Mr. Hancock's apology and considered the matter closed. A spokesman adds that the Prime Minister has full confidence in the Health Secretary. However, on the streets of London, Britons believe that it's time for the Health Secretary to resign following reports of the affair.
It's not our job to sort of like condone or not. Did the affair happen during working hours or after hours? I think that needs to be considered. Who's hurt and who's not hurt is their business, because there's more sides than one to any story. Whether it's taxpayers' money, I think if it's an after-hours thing, I don't think it's got anything to do with it. It's like if he's playing golf on the weekend, is that sort of using taxpayers' money? So I do think you need to look at all the facts. If he's nipping off for the afternoon when he's meant to be sorting out the vaccines, I'd have a problem with that.
Yeah. I've just called him Tony Hancock. That wasn't a mistake. That was deliberate. Tony Hancock was a very funny comedian, probably before your time. As comedians go, he takes a biscuit. So I would like to see him out of the job as of now, regardless of that.
No, it's not a personal matter, but in the great scheme of things, I wouldn't have it down as a hanging offence. I think probably his shortcomings as a minister are far more disturbing to me than his shortcomings in his personal judgment.
Hotels place a huge demand on the Earth's resources. Major impact comes mainly from the energy, water, food, and other resources that are consumed in running them, by the solid and liquid waste they produce, not forgetting the direct impacts of guests. It goes without saying that stakeholders in the hospitality sector need to embrace more sustainable practices. In this next report, our Dubai correspondent, Maiwa Adegoke, visits the famed Atlantis Dubai resort to see what steps are being taken to help the environment.
From building to operations, hotels and the hospitality industry at large do a lot of damage to the environment, as well as contribute to the loss of biodiversity. Famed Atlantis Dubai Resort is home to the Lost Chambers Aquarium, with over 65,000 marine animals of 250 species. It is looking to play a major role in advancing sustainability in the hospitality industry with its newly launched Atlas project.
And one of our core pillars is marine conservation and animal welfare, because that's what we're really committed to. But also when you're looking at sustainability, we can't be protecting just marine life and the animals in the wild and the animals under our care. We also have to act responsibly ourselves. So another key pillar is responsible operations, where you see us managing waste, energy, water, sourcing. But also our third pillar is education and awareness, because without education and awareness, people don't change.
An estimated 5 million annual visitors to the resort means a lot of waste is generated. However, for every marine animal experience booked by a visitor, $1 will be donated to conservation, sustainability, and environmental education initiatives. Children are often brought in to learn about their conservation and animal release programs.
We've been doing this about 3 years now, is our release program. And we do it with the local government agencies, so the Dubai municipality and the Ministry of Environment and Climate Change. So we do it in conjunction with those two agencies. And normally we release the sharks and rays in the Jebel Ali Marine Reserve, which is about 30 kilometers of the coast. So it's a protected area where we're releasing the animals. So essentially what happens is the baby sharks that I showed you earlier, we grow them up until they're strong, bigger and strong enough. And then we keep them in here. And then they'll either go onto the exhibit or we send them to the Jebel Ali Reserve to be released.
In the kitchen, Chef Wong develops a new recipe using locally sourced ingredients.
We have salmon which is locally grown from Jebel Ali fish farm. We get the whole fishes in and we use every last bit of it. We use the fish bones for the stalks, we cure this, the skins as well, we create chips out of them. We utilize everything on the plate and on the product.
Meats are also dry-aged to reduce carbon footprint as a result of importation.
So what we do is we cut these into steaks, but all these trimmings we melt down into a dry-aged butter. So we don't use any fat like normal butter. We use the dry-aged meat. We also make popcorn out of it as an amuse-bouche for the diners, as a complimentary snack as well.
And all this is part of, being sustainable, making sure you're cutting down waste.
Yeah, exactly. We don't waste anything. We use everything up.
Launched on World Oceans Day 2021, hopes are high the Atlas project will live up to expectations and push others in the hospitality industry to take bold steps to protect the earth.
Well, it's definitely admirable to see such intentional efforts being made to help the environment. That's all for The World Today. I'm Akaite Afia. Have a great weekend and stay safe.